So when they say that we're going to respond, we respond no matter what. If the other township doesn't show up, then yes, we are looking into trying to get paid from that township because it wasn't mutual aid. We didn't help them with their fire. We actually took care of it for them. They didn't show.
Correct.
So, just so everybody understands what we're looking into here on how we're gonna get paid the 23 or whatever it happens to be before the two townships have to sit down with each other and say, here's what we're gonna do. All right. So on unfinished business, we also have lawn care. I agree that there should be some kind of written contract between the township and the lawn care service. I would propose, rather than get into great deal and discuss this tonight, that we have a workshop with the township board, just like we did with the cemetery group, and create what we feel is a contract, then have the lawn care service read it over and see what they want to do for changes, and then we'll work on this. So I would propose a motion that we do a workshop in the next 30 days regarding lawn care and create an agreement on what we're looking for them, and then they can look at it and see if they want to send some changes back to us.
The problem is 30 days is September, which is almost completion of a lawn care season, unless we get a longer season than normal. But in the same motion, in the next 30 days, the grass has got to be cut. And I don't know that a letter stating you don't cut the grass unless I authorize it is appropriate when 5 board members did not agree to this. 5 board members accepted the fact that they were going to cut the grass and they were going to do it for X dollars. They were going to actually help maintain the park. And then in our one meeting, it's like, well, we don't need to maintain the ball diamonds, but now all of a sudden, ball diamonds aren't being taken care of, so we got to do something. The problem was, that used to be all-inclusive, the arrangement to maintain this park back here, and now all of a sudden, it's getting piecemeal. We're going to have Weiss spray chemicals that we said we weren't doing this year. We're going to have this guy cut the grass, and we're going to contemplate the conversation of somebody else doing the infields. What in the God's name is happening here? Because that's not what we all talked about when this all started. And now it's so convoluted, I can't figure out what it even says. Other than, don't you dare cut that grass unless I authorize it. Which
Well, I am sure, I am positive that nobody on this board would think that the lawn care service would cut the grass every 5 days. That's 6 times a month. For 100.
that's not what happened, so let's get it crystal clear. Because cynics were cutting the grass 4 days and 5 days, and I got the bill right in front of me, so don't go there.
And that was April through May.
Can I make a
I got
motion?
it right here. When it was cut. The only choice was to cut 5 days because they were predicting rain.
We got the bills.
5
We
days.
saw the bills.
All
All right.
This is 4 days.
5 days a week.
So thank God they waited 5 days, because that's 4 days and this is 4 days.
This was June and July, this was April and May.
April was a drought season. We didn't have rain.
And snow was done in April.
April 24th, we paid for cutting grass, and April 28th, we paid for cutting grass. 4 days apart. And then in May, we're at 6 days. And then in May, we go from there, we actually hit 8 days, which we just hit 8 days last week. And then down here, 5 days. Nobody had a problem paying this bill.
That's why we need to have a workshop and discuss the lawn care.
Okay, so this list right here averages out to like 6 days.
Well,
What's
it
that?
doesn't
I said, I
matter.
think this averages out to about 6 days.
Yeah.
About, all right. So
Maybe.
I'd like to make a motion that we allow him to cut it once a week.
Once
That's
a
all I
week.
Once a
want.
week.
That's,
So like
And
once
that's what I've
every,
been doing.
that's all we
once
wanted.
every
That's all I've been doing,
once every
once a
7
week.
days.
Last time was 8 days, and Mr. Davidson told him that if we cut it again without being told or without permission, we wouldn't be paid. Is that okay? We won't be paid?
We're doing our job.
Look
We're
at it
doing
out there
100%. We're trying to
It's a
do
hayfield
the best
when you
we
cut
can
it, but
do.
that's okay?
Doesn't
I'll
everybody?
No.
stop.
No.
This isn't that. Don't, just stop. We have a motion on the floor. I will second it, that they mow the lawn every,
Well, there was
7 days.
a motion for the workshop, where did that go?
that's on hold. We're dealing with the motion to make sure that the lawn is getting cut so we don't have a hayfield. So,
we'll do that motion first. So
Every
we
7
mow the
days,
lawn
fine, it
every,
is.
As long as
7
it's not
days.
raining.
As long as it ain't raining. If we ain't gonna do it when it's raining.
which is, that's why it gets cut sometimes the day before.
Or the day after.
Or the day after.
and I
Doesn't
second it.
everybody do that?
Let's do a roll call vote on this.
So once a week.
All right.
Does that have to be, every 7 days exactly?
I would think if it's gonna rain on Sunday, you would cut it the day before, but
I believe her motion is for once a week.
Once a week.
Once a week.
DeShano,
Yes.
Davison,
Yes.
Class,
Yes.
Cruz,
Yes.
Campbell.
yes.
And then I would make a motion that we have a workshop in the next 2 weeks, I don't care, regarding a contract on discussing the lawn care.
Does that include the item under new business, the ball diamonds and the spraying and all that stuff? You want to keep that separate before we have a
Well,
workshop?
mowing the ball diamonds is mowing. I'm talking about the infields. That is something that we're already past the point. There's too many weeds out there just to work it, so we'll discuss that as a separate entity. We can do it as part of the workshop if you want to, but at this particular moment, we tried, and I'm not gonna get into great detail because it's further down the list, but we tried working it, the weeds are too big.
Correct.
So, they're gonna have to be sprayed, and then they could probably be worked between now and, I mowed lawn last year till deer season.
We mowed last year till November,
Till November.
but we don't know what this year will bring.
So I make a motion that we have a workshop regarding a contract for the lawn care.
Okay, let's have it this week. What day can you guys be here?
I can't this week.
Okay, next week.
Huh?
Next week.
Next week,
Next Monday night, 7
Friday's
o'clock.
open.
no, Friday's on.
Monday night, 7 PM,
21st?
next Monday.
No, 21st.
Well, we couldn't have it this Monday at 7 PM because we're here. Next Monday. At 7. I could probably do it Tuesday. I can't do it Monday night. I could do it the 22nd. Or no, what is next week? 21st. Yeah, I could do it the 22nd on Tuesday
At 7?
at 7. You mean Tuesday so let's make the workshop then, as part of my motion, the workshop will be Tuesday, the 22nd at 7 o'clock to discuss the contract for lawn care.
Second.
Let's do a roll call vote on that.
Davison,
Yes.
Class,
Yes.
Cruz,
Yes.
Campbell,
Absolutely.
and DeShano.
Yes.
All right, new business. 2 months ago, we voted to give a 50-cent raise to the deputy clerk, deputy treasurer, and the secretary of the office help. In that conversation, I spoke of taking money that we had in the deputy supervisor to spread the money out to pay the 50 cents an hour. And when we got all done, we agreed to give them the 50-cent raise and never agreed to move the money in the motion from the deputy supervisor to the deputy clerk, the deputy treasurer, and the office help. Well, it didn't happen. I mean, it never made the motion. I mean, we talked about it, we did everything but put it in the motion, apparently. So this budget resolution would be to move about $2,000 out of the deputy supervisor to the deputy clerk, $2,000 out of the deputy supervisor to the deputy treasurer, and $1,000 out of the deputy supervisor to the office help, is the resolution.
I thought we approved 50 cents, that's $5,000.
But it's different departments. The money doesn't have to be sitting in the deputy supervisor, so
Yeah,
this will cover us. This will cover us on everything we need for the hours.
So I'll make the motion, we do
Does
that.
does that exhaust that account? Does that empty that account
It's
out as
pretty
far as the
close.
budget?
There's a little bit left in there, I
And
think.
the deputy one,
In the deputy supervisor.
should just empty it.
I mean, there's nobody in that position, so. why
We only
not?
created it a year ago.
Well, okay, I can take the exact numbers, but it's around $2,000 for the two deputies and $1,000 for the office. But I'll split it up equally, a 2-2-1 with the change. And empty out the deputy supervisor.
No problem. I'll make the motion, or I'll second the motion.
I made the motion,
I'll second it.
we'll do a roll call vote.
Class,
Yes.
Cruz,
Yes.
Campbell,
Yes.
DeShano,
Yes.
Davidson.
Yes. Next under new business is 671 South Linwood Beach. There is a neighbor that bought a house on South Linwood Beach. They have torn it down. The cement's gone, the basement's gone, the black dirt's in. I'm not even sure there ain't even sod on it by now. And the only way we can remove the bill from being sent to them from the water department for Coquitlam Township is to vote on it at the meeting and sign it that we want the bill removed. And the only reason why there's no water being used, but the bill still gets the cost of the quarterly maintenance. Infrastructure. So I would make a motion that we remove 671 South Linwood Beach from the water billing.
And I'll second it.
All those in favor? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Next on the agenda, 11 months ago, I was approached by the state of Michigan. Well, I should go back one more step. Dory's gas station, the mobile station on Linwood Road, even though it's only 2 years old, the health department designed a septic field that was failing. We have a sewer line that comes down Fraser Road to Linwood Road that goes to M13. I requested that we allow them to hook up to that line, so I went to Bay County Sewer. And just for all of you's information, we own all the sewer lines in Fraser Township. So, it come to find out that 22 years ago, the state never gave us that sewer line. When they put it in to handle their rest area, they brought it in, they come down the state property to Anderson Road, they went over to Fraser Road, they come down to Linwood Road, and they went all the way to M13 and hooked it up. So I approached the state, and they said, well, they don't want the line. So for the last 11 months, we've been negotiating them giving it to us. Now, you have to understand that Bay County didn't realize that they never gave us the line, so for 22 years, Cuckolan Township has done any maintenance it needs, or done any, we've actually hooked up houses to it. And crop production services hooked to it. So they did give me a permission, and we have agreed to hook up the mobile station. We got the contractor, everything is in place. Believe it or not, the only reason why we haven't hooked the gas station up to the sewer line is because Eagle has taken 3 months to sign the permit. It does sound like the permit might be signed, and I should have it maybe yet this week. The bottom line to the whole thing is, when we got done negotiating, and just so everybody understands, that I not only had Spicer Engineering, I had the Bay County Sewer Department, the engineer, the head of maintenance, the executor of Bay County Water and Sewer, our attorney, and myself took the last agreement they sent us, and well, we actually took 5 pages out of it and tweaked it and sent it back to them and said, this is what we'll accept. And they have finally accepted it. There is some things, 2 things. One, the state is giving us the line in its entirety. With one exception, we had to do a maintenance agreement with MDOT from the fence on Anderson Road to the rest area. So that took an extra, well, that was back in May, and now we finally got an agreement. So the last step to this agreement is the township board accepting this agreement, and they are going to give us the sewer line from the rest area to Anderson, to Fraser, to Linwood Road. So,
This one here, I just looked, because you said there was an adjustment made. This one says Fraser. I just said that was your meeting.
no, we removed Cuckolan and put Fraser Township. The sewer line is in Fraser Township.
Well, on the MOU, under section 2, background, it says the sewer segment is within the township boundaries. They're not within our township boundaries if we're a party to this. They're within Fraser's township boundaries. So even though it may be our sewer line, it's not our township boundaries.
That's the only problem I see with it,
Yeah,
because
I have a couple other questions.
we didn't annex Fraser Township. Even though we provide, 100%, we provide all the sewer in Fraser, all the way to the edge of Pink County, for the pickle factory, all along 13. So we provide this, but I think that there might be a verbiage snafu when it says,
You see where they're saying that here?
within the township boundaries.
Memorandum of Understanding between the Michigan Department of Transportation and Cuckolan Township. It says background, the sewer segment is within the township boundaries. Well, it's not it's within Fraser Township.
This is all in Fraser Township out here. They thought that was along the highway boundary, but it's not. It's actually across 2 farms. You and I talked about it. But, and the farmers aren't concerned about it. The only thing that they found interesting is they were told they could never tap that line.
Well,
But this will change things to where the line would then become tappable.
But that's the high pressure, or does that feed back in on the other side?
it's not a water line, it's a sewer
That's what I
line.
mean.
Yes, it is a
Yeah,
pressure
it's a
line.
pressure-
So it's a
Pressurized
pressure
line.
line, so there's only so much you can put to that pressure line.
Yeah, but it's a fairly good sized pressure line. And,
Yes.
and the road and the highway department has to keep a certain amount of water, and they've agreed to pay for the chemicals and the water, and believe it or not, they're going to tear that rest area out of there and build a new one next year. So, but they have agreed
Upgrading.
to keep the water flowing.
Dry barrel.
they've agreed to, keep the water flowing, because they still have to do it in the winter time. They don't have enough people in the rest area in the winter time to keep enough water flowing down through there as a pressure line. But they have agreed in this mutual agreement, maintenance agreement, in the maintenance agreement. Does this verbiage have to be changed on the?
We could probably just ask about doing a one-page, just referencing just that piece, where the whole document, as long as everybody's okay with the remainder of the document. If we're not, then let's talk about it
No,
now.
I think that's my problem right there, where it says it's within the confines of Quaquallon Township, but it's not. The whole line runs through Fraser
It doesn't
Township.
say Quaquallon, but it does.
It says within the township
It's up top.
boundaries.
Yep, up top it says Quaquallon
And
Township.
if we're gonna sign this in
Township.
good faith, the only thing I would suggest is stating a sewer line located on Fraser Township side of the line, but has been maintained by Quaquallon Township. Since we are the sewer dog, let us put it down right, because then if somebody comes back and says, well, wait a minute,
So
what are you coming?
would we have to change that, or just add the word that's?
Can you
it's
put an addendum?
Within the Fraser Township boundary lines.
I mean, that's one way to do it. I would be more apt to make it specific to what we own within Fraser Township.
Because I think that's the important piece, because next year, if they get a new supervisor, we could go back to ground zero. And if we have to go back to ground zero, and he says, what are you doing in our township?
I'll be more than happy to sell them the sewer line.
Well, I'm just saying, because, you know, these.
Believe me, the 11 months on the rest area was trivial compared to the 3 years I've been working with the pickle factory, so.
So, just want to clarify a few things. So, this was originally built by the state with state funding, okay?
22 years ago.
So we have an MOU where we're taking over jurisdiction, which means we're gonna take on all of the maintenance, all of the upkeep. And if you look at this maintenance agreement, there's a few really interesting little notes in here. I found it kinda interesting that we're even responsible for removing any drawings, graffiti, or vandalism to the control panel and lift station. Does that happen frequently? I mean, that's a whole, who's gonna be responsible for that? Who's gonna be inspecting that? Who's going to be actually doing the repair of that, should there be graffiti on it? Just a very interesting little note in there. I also noticed in here that there needs to be the adoption of a resolution. That resolution wasn't provided to us for us to actually review. I know it was 22 years ago. What is the status with the lift station? I know we just had to spend about $80,000 per lift station over the last couple of years to do some repairs because they were more aged and it was hard to get the parts. Is that going to be the same situation with this lift station? I understand there was a sewer leak on this line not that long ago. So now we, the people of Quaquallon, would be fully responsible for all of this upkeep, whereas MDOT has been doing it up till this point, or
No.
they haven't and we haven't and nobody's done anything. So who took care of the leak that occurred
We did,
on a line that wasn't technically ours?
that's correct, for 22 years. I'm gonna have to check, that sewer leak was not on this particular line. I know it wasn't. I wanna say it was on, I don't remember, but it was a cable company, put a cable in and hit the sewer line from a house to our main. So it was actually the lead that needed to be fixed, and I'm positive it wasn't on this particular situation. As near as I know, the only thing they were requesting was a copy of the minutes that we've approved this.
On the maintenance document, number 7, this contract shall become binding on the parties hereto and of full force and effect upon the signing thereof by the duly authorized officials for the agency, which would be the township, and for the department, and upon the adoption of a resolution approving said contract and authorizing the signatures thereto of the respective officials of the